You want to get into coding, but you have no idea where or even how to get started, and it seems way too overwhelming. Look no further. In this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to get into coding for free and hopefully within a couple months, land your first coding job. Hey friends, if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. I am a 19-year-old self-taught software engineer currently working at a tech startup, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you the most efficient way to get into coding or how to learn coding in 2020. It is not as hard as it seems, and to be honest, there is not a better time to get into coding than it is right now. I'll be splitting the video into multiple parts. If you do want to skip to a specific portion of the video, you're completely free to do that. However, I do suggest watching the entire video through because I am explaining step by step how to make the best decision and how to most efficiently get into coding. So again, I recommend watching the entire video through, but again, you do have that freedom to skip if you want to. The prerequisite. Just real quick before we start, the number one skill you will need to have in order to become a programmer is to be able to sit in front of a computer for a long extended period of time. You're of course allowed to take breaks, and I also highly suggest taking a walk or standing up every once in a while. But just being able to zone out and completely focus on the code is very important, not only to learn faster, but if you're looking to become a programmer, make sure you have checked that off the list. Working as a programmer is different to being a doctor or, for example, a teacher, because you constantly have to learn new things in order to keep up with the profession. Whereas, let's take, for example, a doctor. A 60-year-old doctor has 60 years of compounded knowledge, whereas a 60-year-old developer doesn't necessarily have that, because technology that we were using 60 years ago are most likely not the technology that we're using today or in the future. So that doctor has 60 years of compounded knowledge and can most likely charge more for that knowledge. Whereas we as programmers, we have to continuously learn, continuously kind of keep up with the tech to not get outdated. And don't get me wrong, doctors have to do this as well, teachers have to do this as well, but especially as a programmer, you have to continuously learn new things all the time. So if there's one thing I want you to remember before we start this video, it is that coding is a continuous learning cycle. If you stop learning, you get outdated. If you keep on learning, you're good to go. Whew, finally we're started. And number one is pick a field. Way too often I hear that people come to me and they're like, Benjamin, I want to learn how to code. How do I get started? And I ask them, and I always give them the same answer. What exactly do you want to code? By just saying you want to learn to code, it's kind of like saying you want to learn to build. What do you want to learn to build? Do you want to build houses? Do you want to build shelves? Do you want to build websites? You just have to pick a path. Even if you're not 100% sure about that path, just pick something or pick whatever is most interesting to you. Do remember that you can always change your field later if you do wish to change. There's no harm in doing something for a couple of months just to find out that it wasn't really for you. At the end of the day, it all boils down to experience that you can take with you to your future employer. And I know a lot of people say this, but it is true. Once you learn one programming language, it is not very hard to learn your second one, because all of these programming languages kind of built on top of the same fundamental programming concepts with just a little bit different syntax from language to language. And when it comes to fields that you can choose from, there are tons. There are web developers, game developers, system administrators, the list just goes on. For example, for web development, you have front-end development, back-end development, and within those again, there are many paths to choose from. The point is that you have to pick a path that seems the most interesting to you. And again, there's no harm in choosing something that you're not 100% sure about. Just pick whatever seems the most interesting to you at the moment. Now we're at part 2 of the video, finding the right resources. Once you have picked a field, it is now time to find the right resources in order to learn programming. This is the actual part of the video that you've kind of been waiting for. For example, as a front-end developer, you'll be coding websites, you'll be designing them, for example. There are many paths down that road as well. So now it's time to find the resources that correlates to that specific work. And I'll provide you with a lot of resources in just a second, but before we do that, I just want to point out something. We all learn differently, so you have to find out what or which learning method works the best for you. I'll leave a link to every platform that I talk about in this video in the description down below, so you can go ahead and check them out for yourself. Also, if you have any other questions, you can leave them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to reply to them. And I'm sure that members of the community will also help you out because the programming community is just so nice. If you learn more by reading, you'll most likely enjoy reading documentation for whatever language or framework you're trying to learn and trying things out for yourself. But do be aware that you will fail multiple times even, but keep in mind that by reading all the time, you're not really learning because you also have to take that knowledge and apply it to actual coding. You pretty much just have to try things out. But going down this route, you might get stuck setting up your own custom environment and all of these different things that really makes it harder to get into programming. And I don't suggest this path if you're just getting into coding. So if this sounds too complicated to you, don't worry. The next step might be a lot more interesting to you. If you are more of an interactive learner, platforms like Free Code Camp and Code Academy will be your best bet. And the way that these platforms work is that they give you challenges, they give you tasks, they give you some stuff to read, and then you kind of have to find out the answers. You have to write some code, and then if it's the right code, it lets you know. If it's not the right code, you have to do it again. And this way, it's really interactive, and I would suggest this route if you're just getting into coding. And if I remember properly, these platforms also give you certificates for completing different types of courses, which will come in really handy when you're going to be applying for your first job. And the good thing about these platforms is that you don't really have to set up anything yourself. The entire environment is just already set up for you and you can get right into coding. If you learn more by watching videos, some websites like Pluralsight or Lynda, Skillshare, YouTube, all these different websites are really great when it comes to learning. Pluralsight, Lynda, and Skillshare have some really high quality courses on almost anything you could ask for. But these are not really free, so if you want to go for something free, YouTube might be your best bet. Nowadays, people create some really amazing and great quality courses that they put out for free on websites like YouTube, so I would highly give that a try before you go for any of these paid subscription services. You can usually save some money this way as well. I have used these resources in the past and I do highly suggest them. I definitely learned the basics. However, I would recommend this new up-and-coming platform called Scrimba, which is a visual video learning platform type thing. It sounds crazy, but it is really amazing. In my opinion, it's the ultimate way to learn because you get to listen to the teacher talk, you can make changes at any time, and then when you're done with the changes, you can continue the playback where you left off. It's honestly amazing and it's unlike any other platform out in the market right now, so I would highly suggest checking them out. I also want to clarify that I am not in any way affiliated or sponsored with Scrimba. I just really love the concept, so I wanted to shout it out. Part number 3. When you've found the right resources and you've been using it for a while, it is now time to actually put your knowledge to the test and build something. At the end of the day, you are not going to become a better programmer if you don't build things. And I always use this example that I'm about to use because I think it's a great example. You can go your entire life reading how to ride a bicycle, but you're not going to become a good biker if you don't step on that bicycle and try to ride it and fail over and over again. The same way that you have to try and fail riding the bicycle, you also have to build and fail when it comes to coding. Building and building will make you a better programmer. I could give you a lot of project ideas, but I'm going to be saving that for another video. Just to keep it short and simple, make whatever falls in interest to you, whatever seems interesting, and remember that Google is always your friend. And if you want to figure out how to be more productive while you're learning, I do have a course. No, I'm kidding, I don't have a course. I don't have a course, but I do have a video that I'm going to be linking in the description and also in one of these things up right here above, which is a video on how minimalism made me more productive. Hopefully that helps you in some way, focusing on learning and kind of the things I talked about in the beginning, being able to sit in front of a computer and focus for a long extended period of time. That video might actually help you with that. And again, without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.